What's up, everybody? GR Zerza here, and today I am going to be talking about 3 different Welser decks. Now, you can take a guess which J-Ruler I opened in my box of the new set. And I saw somebody post a tier list of all the rulers, and Welser was on the level of you can't even play this competitively. So, of course, me and some buddies have been playing and trying to figure out what to do with this ruler. I went through 3 iterations of this, and I kind of ended up on control, which I feel is the strongest, has the best chance to be somewhat competitive. I'm just going to preface all of this by saying this is not super tested. This is not a professional's opinion. This is not something that is totally fleshed out. These are first drafts, and they've been played in both casual and a little bit more of an aggressive format meta, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But so yeah, just take this for what it's worth. It's just my opinion. I haven't been to a tournament in over 6 months because of COVID, so I'm not claiming to know everything. All right, let's get into it. So right off the bat, the first thing I wanted to do with Welser is build a storm deck, because I mean, you're untapping a stone every time you play a chant. So those of you who don't know, that's what he does on the front side. You probably can't read it on the screen because the print is so bad and tiny from the new printings of the new cards, and I can't stand it, and I really hope they make it bigger, because look at all that empty space in the text box, and I'm old and I have glasses and I can't see very well. So anyway, moving on. So what he does is whenever you cast the chant, you get to untap a stone. Whenever you cast the first chant each turn on your opponent's turn and your turn. So you kind of get like a refund, if you will, or like you can cast a 1cc spell for free technically, but you do have to have that stone originally. All 3 of these decks are going to be playing Altising's Hideout. Not all 3 of the decks are playing Altising himself. As you can see on this list, there is no Altising. I'm going to say it right now. He has way too many options, and we'll get into that on the next deck list, but he just covers too many things, and he probably should be played in any deck that has green. The reason I'm not putting him on this list is just because he's a little more expensive, and I wanted to see what you could do without playing him and just going all in on the storm aspect of the deck and trying not to put too many other things into it. So we're playing this strictly for barrier. Elixir, great turn 1 play. You can play this even if you don't have the coin. I would say usually it's better to have some protection for him to make sure you get that first crest out into play, and also if you draw subsequent crests. But typically I'm not too worried about it if they kill him right away, because then they're not doing the other things. Spirit of Magic, you absolutely cannot play this until you can either A, protect it, or B, you can use it to get value out of it. So don't slam this turn 1 on the play. You have to have this card for this deck to actually work. This is the engine of the deck. The first spell you play each turn, it gets +4/+4, whatever. So it's an 8/8 flyer. You can attack with it. You can start a clock. But the reason you play this card is for the second and third ability. So the second spell you cast each turn, you draw a card. That is huge. That is how you don't run out of cards with this build. You will run out of cards otherwise. When you're playing 4 to 5 spells a turn, that's what happens. So this, at all costs, needs to be protected. 2 student at the academy, you put 2 1/1 counters on it whenever you play a chant. So this can get out of control pretty fast, and it's nice when it has barrier. So that's kind of like the start of the deck. We're also playing Chelina, so it's really nice. She's been kind of a superstar, and you'll see she's in all 3 of these lists. So yeah, she's just really, really solid. So those are the kind of like, they're all 1-drops. We want to give them barrier, and then the rest of the deck is going to be the storm. So those are the things that benefit from storming, and then the rest of the cards are going to be storm themselves. And by storm, I mean multiple chants being cast each turn. So Elixir's Love, great card, amazing, helps you not run out of spells. and it helps your storm count. So if it's the first spell you cast, you get to untap one. So basically for 1 green, you're getting to return something to your hand. And a lot of games, you'll end up targeting an Elixir's Love with Elixir's Love. I've had that happen where to get the storm count up, I would just each turn Elixir Love with the Spirit of Magic in play, so that I'm giving it +4 on the first one, drawing a card on the second one, and then shooting something for 8. By the way, yeah, which I forgot to talk about, is this is also removal. So yeah, it's kind of the best card in the deck, so you need to protect it. So Elixir's Love, great card. Don't forget, you can target the second half of this card, which is research results. You can look at the top 5 and put 2 non-resonators into your hand. So while this is in the grave, it counts as both, and Elixir's Love simply says take a chant and put it from your graveyard into your hand. So that is a legal target. You could also target an alt to sing, but that's not in this deck list. The crest, self-explanatory. Put them into play with the elixir. Magical Dragon, super fun card. It's not that great, but it's a storm deck and we need something to storm into. I have had games where I got to play 3 of these in 1 turn for free. And I mean, I lost the game because people can deal with huge ass dragons pretty easily in this game. But they do pose a threat. They do ramp you and get you to, closer to flipping your Welser, which is the ultimate goal for most of these decks. Chilena, just excellent card. I can't believe the value of 1 card. You want to play 1 and play, then beyond that, anytime you bounce something with a magical wind arrow or a bewildering charm or another Chilena, you're going to be sending things to the bottom of the library. So it's basically like one will removal spells. Also, there's some tricks you can do with the fact that you can bounce an addition to its owner's hand, and that allows you to do some things with some of the other builds that we'll talk about later, because you can do it to your own stuff. Unceasing Wind, in the upkeep, I've had games where I had double Unceasing Winds, so I would just use all of my will to Unceasing Wind, and then Unceasing Wind again, and then Unceasing Wind, because you're drawing the other Unceasing each time you do it. So I would do that like 4 times to get the storm count up, and then untap for the turn, and be able to just like start slamming dragons into play. So that's kind of cool. Be smart with how you use this card. Like, realize that it doesn't go to the graveyard. So yeah, you just gotta kind of watch that and know what's going on with that. Magical Wind Arrow, like 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be untapping a stone with this to help ramp you. This helps you get out Magical Dragon like turn 2, turn 3, if you have enough of these. So what you want to do with that is, say you're using it to ramp, you want to tap a stone for a green, and then tap another one and float it, and use the green to target the other stone, and then use Welser's ability to untap the stone that you used. I know that didn't make much sense the way I just said it to some people. So just float 2 will, use 1 to untap, and then make sure you target the other one with the Welser ability, so that you'll end up with both stones untapped and 1 floating will, and that's how you ramp. Bewildering Charm, kind of an all-star in my opinion. It does everything this deck wants to do. It pairs really nicely with Chilena, and the draw is super nice, especially when you get to do it for free. If it's the first spell, end of their turn, tap stone, draw a card, untap that stone, play another spell, kind of nice. And then the other storm ender is going to be Monstrous Rush, and if you're flipped with your Welser, you can get up the storm count up, and then just cast this as many times as you want and get a ton of beasts, and one of them has swiftness. 4 blue-green for the new stone that when it untaps, it taps for anything, and then 2 just regular green stones. Okay, so that's the storm build. I go a little bit quicker with this one. Again, Welser. This one is going to play Altasing in Altasing's hideout. 4 elixir because we're really hard on the ramp with this deck. We're also playing 4 charms down here. Oh, not charms, crests. Where are the crests? I am blind. Oh, it's right here next to it. Okay. So yeah, 4 and 4. This guy, I don't like him, but it ramps. The whole idea of this is just focus on ramping as fast and as hard as you can. You probably could just not play Altising and just play like more ramp. I don't know. I haven't really tested this deck. I enjoyed the ramp aspect, but yeah, I just enjoyed playing the Storm more. So I kind of focus more on that. 4 magical Wind Arrow because it ramps you, and 3 Elixir's Love, 3 Magical Dragon, Bewildering Charm, and then here's how you win. You flip, and then you play Last Secret Sword. You're going to flow all of your stones. You're going to leave the Welser up, and then you're going to sack everything to play this, and then play it again, and then play it again, and then play it again, and play it again. And then if they try to do anything with all your floated will, you can Altising and counter whatever it is that they're doing. The 1 Thunder is just so that you have another card, a 4th card. I didn't want to put 4 Secret Swords in here. 3 might even be too many because early game this is a dead card. You can win with just a single Thunder. So I wanted a 4th one that was also not a dead card in the early game because we do have Blasting Waves and we do have Stone of Elements to produce red. So this is just more of a fun build, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe you could tweak it to make it more competitive. So that brings us to the 3rd deck. And something I want to talk about to kind of preface this. Back in the day, I had a buddy that his first tournament, he realized that there was a card in the format that was super strong, and that was Horn of the Sacred Beast. It cost 0, and it reshuffled in your graveyard into your library. So he realized that he didn't actually need to win, and he didn't put like hard win conditions in that, like a lot of people tend to jam win conditions into their decks. He just wanted to make sure he had answers for everything, and he ended up going undefeated in the tournament and taking first place. And yeah, he timed out a lot, but usually it would be in game 2. So like he would win game 1 and it would take forever. He did, don't get me wrong, he could win with his J Ruler. He was playing Charlotte and just a bunch of like really good counter spells and removal. It was a 5-color control deck. So when this came out, I kind of thought of him, and I just thought this deck screams his, his style of playing control, and I built it, and I've tested it against let's see here, Magna, Gil, what's the Crystals girl, the Dark Alice, and the recent blue Selesnya, the treasure bullshit that's like really hard to interact with. And I have beaten all of them, including the Selesnya deck, with this control list. Now it takes a while, and this deck is not easy to pilot by any means, and you have to really know what you can and can't let resolve. So just kind of be warned of that. Like, this is not going to be very obvious play lines. You have to be thinking long term a lot of the times, and some of this is experimental. So first off, yeah, we're same as always, Altising's Hideout, and then for Altising, he's the all-star of the deck. He does all the things we need out of a card for this deck. He's a win condition. He can swing for 5 each turn. He's got quick cast. He can stop a J Ruler from killing you. We do not have cards that kill J Rulers, not currently. So being able to just play him because he returns himself to your hand, that's huge. So if they do have a huge ass J Ruler with Eternal and Pierce and Swift and all that stuff, like Selesnya, if that's even how you say her name, I can't remember, the blue ruler out of the new set, then you can just target it so it doesn't deal damage, and you can do that every turn. And that's what I had going in one of the games against a very good pilot who really didn't make any mistakes. So I know it was working. But you have to be patient, and you have to learn when you can and can't counter things. So Something to note with Altising, you can stack the ability that he has on his creature side, on his resonator side. You can also do that with these. So you can tap 2 hideouts, or tap one of these and a green stone, and activate his ability and respond by activating with the ability. So it will go on the stack twice. And therefore, for the rest of the turn, a Glimpse of the Prodigy, the spell side of it, will cost 4 green less, which means it's free. And if your Welser is flipped, it goes back to your hand when you cast it. So every turn you have infinite counter spells, and they're free. Does that sound good to you? Because it does to me. So that's kind of why we put this deck together. All right, let's get into the rest of it. 3 Elixir, because it still has a very good chant side. We're not so focused on the ramp. This is the only ramp in the deck. There's no dragons. There's no 2-drops that die in ramp. None of that. We're just playing Elixir as a good 1-drop, but also he can be targeted by Elixir's Love to then dig 5 cards deeper and find your counter spell or your game-winning card or whatever it is you need to get. So very useful card. Still gonna try Spirit of Magic. I'm not sold on it. It's gonna be more removal, but this deck doesn't focus so hard on the storm, so I'm not seeing you playing a ton of stuff and getting tons of triggers on this. Might swap it out and round out some of the other numbers. Not sure yet, but I do like this as a card, so I do want to keep trying it. Here's the card that y'all gonna be like, whoa, what is this? Well, at first glance, this looks really wonky, right? It's just like a common card. It's 1 blue, and it's a 1/9. Well, the idea isn't to be killing your opponent with this card. Think of this on defense as a way to stop them from attacking. And when I say that is like, even if they have something that can kill it, it's still going to bounce the spell or the resonator back to their hand. Therefore, they have to play it next turn, and they won't be able to attack with it. So it's a nice wall. A lot of the 1 and 2 drops don't have 9 power, so they can't kill this guy. But the bigger reason we're playing this is that he draws you a card whenever he deals damage to a player. There was a Magic the Gathering deck back in the day that played Ophidian, and that card was like a 1/1 flyer, and you could attack with it, and then you could decide that it doesn't do damage, and if you do that, you get to draw a card. So this is kind of like the same concept. You're just kind of picking at them, but you're drawing extra cards. So the other reason we're playing this is because we're playing for Chelina. So now the bounce to their hand becomes put to the bottom of their library, which is a whole lot better. And having that choice is super nice. So yeah, for Chelina, again, superstar, we already talked about her. Here's the card. In early game, you're going to be playing it for 4C. Don't forget, you get to untap a stone. So technically, this is pay 1, draw 2, which is really good to help with, the issue of running out of cards. It can help you with a storm count, if you have like a Spirit of Magic in play and you're trying to get to 3 spells to kill something. But late game, once you're flipped, you put 1 in play, and then 4C becomes free. And every time you draw a card, you get 2 1/1 counters on this guy. So you can play it past the turn, and then next turn you can draw your entire library and swing for lethal. That is one of the win conditions. We're testing this out right now. Again, it's not fully tested. It didn't make the cut the first iteration of the deck, but I can see why it might be useful, so I added it to the list. 4 Bewildering Charm, 2 Magical Arrow, 2 Elixir's Love, 2 Magic Crest of the Wind, which this is a card that I have used Chelina with the send back to bounce it back to my hand and then flash it back into play with the Elixir for more ramp. Sometimes the game is just going in that direction, and that's something you can do. 1 Dance of Spirits to lock them out. They can't play spells till the end of turn, so you can do that to set up your win condition or just to stall turn early game. It's not terrible to just say turn 3 you can't cast spells. So they can't start jamming Regalia and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, or on turn 2 even. So it's there. It's not like the main thing. One defense stance. I wanted to have another counter spell that you can take off of the research results, because it's an addition. So you can pick it up there, and also it's nice to be able to send back. And then once in the late game, you have infinite send backs because it's a chance. So every turn you can have defense stance at the ready in your hand and play it every single turn and then bounce it back to your hand. Seal of Lyneth, same kind of idea. I just wanted something to be a catch-all for removal. Crystallization, I wouldn't be too worried about their life total. Your plan is not necessarily to like kill them. Sometimes you have to deck them out, but honestly, having quick cast 1 white destroy something that's a chant, and you can do it over and over again is something that I wanted in the deck. So them gaining life is really not that big a deal. Gain life of your own, and also this is going to be our Horn of the Sacred Beasts. This is how we don't die to decking ourselves. And also the life gain can definitely be something worth noting, especially in the aggro matches. Dispelling Stone 1. I wanted to have something that could blow up an addition, and then Thunder as an alternate win condition, or you could play the sword card where you sack all your permanents except Welser, and then float all the things, return both the Altisings to your hand so they're free to the end of the turn, and then sacrifice all your permanents except Welser and just deal a bunch of damage that way. But I kind of wanted to have a card that wasn't dead in the early game, so I'm playing 1 Thunder and gonna see how that works. So yeah, again, not totally completely fleshed out. I don't know the meta that well. I don't know what's going to be out there. Apparently Rezard's really huge, and I will say, Pharecia, the card that has barrier, is definitely an issue since we are only playing targeted removal. But you could easily sideboard and play what's the card that stops all resonators from dealing damage? Yeah, that card. Intimidate, I think it's called. It's 1 white and a chant. It has quick cast, so you could play that and literally play it every single turn, and they can't kill you with resonators. So that's, or you could play 1 in the main, and you could drop Seal of Lyneth or Dance of Spirits or something if you want, and just play something else. So yeah, the nice thing about this is that I'm kind of giving you guys a shell to start with. I think that the cards near the top are definitely must-haves. The Altising's Hideout, Altising himself, Chilena. I would say, like, these are the cards that you absolutely want to have. Like, the rest of it you can kind of tweak, for your own meta, or your own if you're playing in a house game, or whatever you're doing, or you're just playing for fun. This deck is pretty frustrating to learn at times, so if you're an advanced player, I would say go for this. Otherwise, you might not know how to mulligan correctly. You might not see the lines very clearly. You might think that you have to respond to everything and think, oh, I'm so far behind. But the idea is you use your life total as a resource. You're gonna get low on life. That's fine. Let them do their thing, and then eventually you're gonna lock them out, take over the game, and stop them from doing anything. And Spirit of Magic can be a win con. After post flip, you're able to cast as many spells as you want. So you can definitely hit them for 8 a turn. Or with the Thunder, let me explain how that works, because we're not playing red stones. We're playing the Epic Stone of the Element. So you'll trigger the untap a stone ability to make this produce any will, and then you can produce red with it. And the idea is, like, in the late game, you would take like a magical arrow, and if you have enough will in play, you want to end the game that turn. They're at a low enough health, they're at like 2,000 or something, and you want to cast it 4 times. Well, you would use a green to cast magical wind arrow, and then untap this stone, and you would do that 4 times. and just float 4 red, and then you can cast the Thunder 4 times, or just sack all the permanents and cast the sword. I just don't know if that's the direction I wanted to go yet, so I thought I would try this first and just be patient with the deck. And that's my biggest advice for you guys, is just be patient. Try like Spirit of Magic, you probably don't want to play right away. You don't that this is more of a late game card. And yeah, like, don't be afraid to turn 2, end of turn, throw out an Altising just so you have it at the ready. You know, obviously if they're doing things or if they're attacking with something, like, then it's more beneficial to flash it in and block and possibly make a favorable trade or something like that. But anyway, that's all I have for today, and I hope you guys enjoy the video and are being safe and enjoy the new set, as it has a lot of fun things. Really digging a lot of the card design. So yeah, thanks for watching.